Hello all. Welcome to Easy Learn. I am Orko Dashgupta and today I am going to teach you the topic for ratios and fractions. So firstly, we will try to understand what ratios and fractions are all about, and then we will also delve deeper into their similarities and also the differences between the two. Okay. So without any further ado, let's begin. So as we can see how fraction and ratio particularly looks, so we can distinguish between them that in case of fraction, we can see a number sits at the top of another one, which are divided by a fraction bar. And in case of ratio, we can see the two numbers are separated by a semicolon. So if we try to see how they are defined in their own manner, let's begin with the ratio. So in case of ratio, we can see a ratio of one number to another is the quotient, which means its answer when the first number is divided by the second. We can also say it is a comparison between two numbers. So mainly there are three different ways to express a ratio. So we can see that uh, in this case, for the first example, 1 sits on the top of 2, which is separated by a fraction bar. We can also write it in a manner where we have already see in this image that we can write 1 colon 2. Ratio is also explained that we can say that 1 to 2. So now we can see how to simplify a ratio. First we would begin with an example. What is red ratio of red counters to blue counters, right? So here we can see a couple of red balls, and then beside that there are a couple of blue balls. So in the beginning we can see there are 9 red balls and 3 blue balls. So if we basically depict that into how we write basically a ratio, we can see that here we can write it in a manner 9 colon 3, right? So further, if we want to write that in a simplified manner, so we can both divide the number, sorry, we can divide both of the numbers by 3, right? And in the end we are getting that if we divide the number 9 with 3, we are getting 3, and in place of number 3 we are getting 1. So 9 colon 3, we are getting 3 colon 1. That is after the simplification. In case of fractions, we can see how it is defined. Fractions are ratios of two numbers. They are written as top number separated by a bottom number by a fraction bar. The top number is called the numerator and the bottom number is denominator. A common fraction is a number where the numerator and denominator are whole numbers and the denominator is not equal to 0. So in this point, they basically try to say is that the number that sits at the top of the fraction bar, we are calling that a numerator. And the number that sits below the fraction bar, we are calling that denominator. And whole numbers are the numbers basically starting from 0 to infinity. A fraction whose denominator is 0 is meaningless since 0 can go into any number, infinite number of times. Consider that the numerator value is the number of parts of the denominator value. If the fraction is 1 by 2, this includes 1 parts out of 2. For example, 1 over 2 of a pair of gloves is 1 of two gloves. Now we will see how do we write this as a fraction. Let's suppose there are three blue balls and white ball, that is one. So altogether there are four number of balls. So in case of blue balls, we can say there are three balls out of four, and that is written by 3 over 4. And in case of white ball, we can say there is 1 out of 4, which is 1 over 4. In this case, if there are 5 balls and 3 of them are blue and 2 of them are violet, we can see in case of fraction, it is depicted by 3 over 5. And in case of violet, it's depicted 2 over 5. And if we write this in a ratio form, we have to write 3 colon 2. Let's come down to another example. We can see the ratio of lemons to oranges is 1 colon 7. When there is expressed as a fraction, then the lemons become the numerator and the orange the denominator. And we can also see it is also expressed as a fraction, that is 1 over 7. And in the imagery form, we can see that there are lemon that is 1 that is above the fraction bar, and there is 7 oranges that is sitting below the fraction bar. So reversely, we can see the ratio of oranges to lemon. We can write it as 7 colon 1. When this is expressed as a fraction, then the oranges become the numerator and the lemons become the denominator. So as a fraction, we can represent it like 7 over 1. And as for the image goes, we can see there are 7 oranges that are sitting above the fraction bar and 1 lemon that is sitting below the fraction bar. Now I will let you read what the difference between fraction and ratios are, and then we can directly go to an illustration where I will show you the differences between them. So I think you have gone through the differences between the ratios and fractions, and if not, you can pause the video in this situation and then further resume it as I explain further. Let's first draw a pizza. We will give the pizza some color. Now, let's suppose when we ordered the pizza, they didn't slice the pizza for us. So what we can do? We can use a slicer to slice it ourselves. In that case, let's divide the pizza into few pieces. Okay, so we have divided the pizza into one, two, three, four, five pieces, right? So in this case, let's suppose if we take one piece of pizza and eat it, let's say we have consumed this piece of the pizza. So now, if I ask you what the ratio of the piece that is eaten to the rest of the pizza, we can write it as 1 colon 4, right? And if we say, how do we write this in fraction? We can write it as 1 over 4. Just think for a moment if the answer is correct or not. Like the same, you can pause the video if you need to think for a while. So in this case, the answer for the ratio, that is 5 colon 4, is the correct one. But in case of fraction, that is 1 over 4, that is incorrect. Because when we first ordered the pizza, it didn't come with their pieces exactly divided into the same parts, same and equal parts of the same size. As we can see, all the parts of the pizza is not of the same size. So if we take one piece out of the pizza, can we say that the rest of the pizza and the equal parts of the pizza has been the same? No, we cannot say that, right? So if we go back to our previous differences between the same, we can see that in case of fractions, the parts of the whole are needs to be equal. So that's all for today's topic. I hope to see you again soon later.